Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, There Goes Infinity. If you guys have not watched one of my videos before, what's up? It's Julia. Very nice to meet you, and do not say what's up to your judges. So a little bit about me is, yes, you are reading the title correctly. I have been in DECA for 6 years. I did 4 years in high school, one of my years which I was my chapter's president, and I am currently a vice president of Texas Collegiate DECA, so I'm a state officer now. And I'm also a college sophomore, so yes, I have been doing DECA for a hecka-deca long time. So I realized when I filmed my 10 tips on roleplays video that there was definitely something lacking, and that was 10 tips on writtens. So today I've prepared my 10 best pieces of advice. I've really sat through and thought about these, so I hope that they're gonna be helpful and a little bit different than even what your advisors may have told you in school. I had pretty awesome advisors. So to jump right into the video, my number one piece of advice is to pick an idea that you're passionate about. It's gonna be very obvious to the judges if you pick something that you're not interested in. It just comes off differently. I don't know really how to explain it, but your judge is going to realize that you pick something that you're not interested in well before you do. So keep that in mind when picking out a topic for your written paper or even your event category. Piece of advice number 2 is that a well-researched paper is usually going to be a little bit longer than the page guideline before it's the right length. I find that a lot of the time that I would help edit papers in high school or in college is that they would be so short because there was just nothing driving the material. The ideas still had a lot of potential to be grown. There wasn't a lot of background on the company, and this is really tough, especially for those of y'all who like to pick startups, because it's a new idea, so you need to make sure that your judge is reading your paper and understands what you're going to be talking about. You'll also, if you realize that you are literally running out of space to write ideas in terms of page number, you're usually on a good track with your presentation. Piece of advice number 3 is about your executive summary. A good executive summary is going to basically be an outline of your presentation. If you find that you're reading through your executive summary and it's way different than what you're showing to the judge is going to be confused too. They're a real person. They're not going to understand what the correlation between the two things is. The judge might not feel as attached to your information as they potentially could be. The only thing that you don't want to have in your executive summary are going to be your hooks and your presentation transitions, because those just don't flow right on paper. Paper for DECA, it's gonna be very different than what it's going to look like in front of your judge, where you're actually trying to say a spoken idea out loud. Number 4 is to watch out for penalty points. I have seen far too many times my friends submit a paper to the judge and realize that they're missing one of their written statements, they're missing a signature somewhere, and boom, that is an automatic 15 points off, which when you're at a competitive state level or an international level will almost instantly get you knocked off the board. Making sure that you have all of your penalty points checked and secured in the bag is just something that is going to make your life so much easier once you actually get into the presentation room with the judge. My piece of advice number 5 is to rehearse setting up your visual aids. This is going to sound really silly, but in my high school chapter, we would literally practice setting up our easels, putting our boards on them, and we would always bring like binder clips to hold trifold boards open, because I don't know what it is about certain ones, but they're just really light and flimsy, and even if there's like air conditioning in the auditorium or in the room that you're presenting in, it can knock your board over, which is the most embarrassing thing in front of the judge. Actually, going off on a little story time here, I think it was my sophomore or my junior year of high school, but my partner and I were presenting, and no joke, we opened up the easel, and the back leg of the easel like didn't lock into place, and so the whole thing fell over. It was so loud, and we were like scared out of our minds that we weren't gonna advance, but we managed to apologize for it and kind of pick up through the presentation. So we ended up making it anyway. Number 6 is to check out DECA Direct for tips and articles on confidence. I could make a whole video on how to be confident in your presentations, but truth of the matter is that your confidence is just something that you're gonna have to practice, and oddly enough, more practice usually equals more confidence. The more times that you're able to run through your presentation, the better your end result is typically going to be, and the more confident you can feel about the work that you are putting out to the judge with that valuable 10, 15, or 20 minutes that you have with them. However, piece of advice number 7 is that a reassuring handshake and a kind smile can go a long way. I don't know if you noticed, but at the start of this video, I reached out to give you guys a handshake, and that's exactly what you want to do with your judge. Be nice, composed, and professional, but also make sure that you're welcoming. Your judge is a real person too, so you want to make sure that you make that human connection at the start of your presentation. If you don't, it can seem robotic or like you just simply do not care enough to actually put yourself into the scenario of what the case or the topic is asking you for. Number 8 is that hand motions when presenting to a judge can be really helpful. Personally, this is something that a lot of people have told me, but they never notice my stage fright, and that is for a reason. I keep my body moving throughout the presentation, but in a nice, natural, and rhythmic way. Now, personally, I'm not the best with hand motions. I think I use them a little bit too much, and I've been told that before, but it is something that I'm working on just in general with my presentation style, and it's something that can help you get your point across to the judge much easier than not doing so. This is actually a really good piece of advice for people that are doing a written for the first time, because when you're doing a role play, your hand motions are kind of more limited because you're usually sitting down with the judge versus a written presentation where you're typically standing and you have full control of your body. They're also able to notice if your legs are shaking, if you're pacing. They can notice if you're fidgeting with things on your clothing too, much easier than when you're sitting down. So this is something to be 100% alert of at all times. Tip number, okay, here we go, 9. I don't know why I can't do that with my hands quite right. Number 9 is to have a pre-presentation routine. Now you guys might think, okay, this is a DECA presentation, calm down a little bit, but this is actually something that famous people that have done TED Talks have done before, people who have talk shows, news reporters use this strategy, and that is called a pre-presentation routine. So there are basically 2 things that kind of define your pre-presentation routine, and you can do a little bit more Google research on these if you're interested, but basically you can have an engaging or disengaging routine, which isn't bad, by the way. This just basically means whether you need to be more active with your brain or less active with your brain before going in front of an audience. And then the other category is being high energy or low energy. So some people like to meditate or calm down or just be in a quiet mind space, while others like to be moving, walking around, maybe doing stretches before they present. And usually you do have a little bit of time, especially at these bigger conferences, before you actually have to go in front of a judge. So this is a really helpful tip. Unfortunately, when you're a role player, you don't really have this time, because basically all of the time up until you meet the judge is you preparing. So you don't really have that opportunity to get into a certain mindset, but with a written, you do. So take advantage of that and figure out what gets you in the best mind space before you go talk to a judge. And my piece of advice number 10 in this video is to remember that your judge is a real person. They are going to try different strategies. They might pull on a poker face or, try to act all robotic so you can't figure out what they're thinking. But for the most part, a good judge is going to try to help you out and hint at what behaviors they like and don't like, just like a real business meeting would go. In a sense, you should be able to pick up on the emotions in the room, what people are thinking about your presentation, and use those to make minor corrections when doing your presentation. And another thing too is, you've honestly learned all of the guidelines. You're probably really great at following them, but judges can sometimes let things slip through the cracks too. So be patient with them and be understanding and realize that they are a real person sitting on the other side of the table or wherever they may be. So guys, if you enjoyed that video, be sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, There Goes Infinity. I'm hoping to post more videos like this, and if you guys have any other pieces of DECA advice from your advisors or that you've learned yourself, go ahead and comment them down below. I love to hear what you guys have to offer, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. You guys are all amazing DECA members, and I cannot wait to see you all in my next video. Bye guys!